Good morning, everyone. Joe Maestas here. I'm joined in the hearing room by Commissioner Byrd, but we also have many people here in the audience. We're joined by Mark Fenton with PNM, Mike D'Antonio with Xcel Energy SPS. I don't know which it is, but we also have our Chief of Staff, Renata, John Reynolds, Miguel, and company. So anyway, it's looking like a regular PRC meeting. So anyway, let me get this meeting started. Welcome everyone to the regular weekly meeting of the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Judy, I assume you'll be doing the roll call vote?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I will be conducting the meeting for OGC.
All right, Russell, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Hall. I don't hear Commissioner Hall. I'll come back to her. Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
Here.
Commissioner Fishman. Okay, I'll come back. Oh, yeah, here. Okay. Okay. Commissioner Maestas. Or Mr. Chairman.
I'm here.
And Commissioner Byrd.
I'm present.
And I'll just try Commissioner Hall one more time. Commissioner Hall. Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have four commissioners present. That's more than a quorum, so the meeting may proceed.
Russell, let's go with the Pledge of Allegiance and the state pledge. Commissioner Byrd, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
You want me to call the hearing, Doctor?
Yeah, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Byrd. All right, commissioners, you have the agenda before you as presented. Are there any changes to the agenda? Any proposed changes? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Byrd. Do I hear a second? I'll second that. Any discussion on the motion? Russell, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Byrd.
Aye.
Commissioner Fishman.
Aye.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
Aye.
Commissioner Hall. And Commissioner Maestas.
Aye.
Or Mr. Chairman, excuse me. Mr. Chairman, the agenda is approved. Four votes approving the agenda and one absent.
Thank you, Russell. I understand there are no special guests. Are there any special guests, just to make sure? Okay, and I've been told there's no public comment. Is that also the?
Mr. Chairman, this is Sarah. No, we don't have anyone signed up for public comment today.
Okay, all right, then let's move on to executive closed session regarding limited personnel matters pursuant to 10-15-1 Prin H Prin 2 NMSA 1978. It's a potential interview and discussion regarding accounting advisory position. So before we go into closed session, folks in the audience, we have speakers in the adjacent room, so you're probably gonna have to go to the break room if that's okay. So with that, do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Byrd. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Second by Commissioner Fishman. All right, Russell, roll call vote, please.
Yes, first, Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Commissioner Fishman.
Aye.
Commissioner Hall. I guess she's still absent. Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
No.
And Commissioner Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 3 in favor of going into executive closed session, 1 commissioner against, and 1 commissioner absent.
Okay, so are you all gonna put us in a private room?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Sarah. I'm setting up the private room right now. I am assuming that that will include Russell Fisk as well. Is that accurate?
Um,
Or Renee?
yes, but is Mr. Olmsted, are we gonna bring him in if needed?
Oh, I thought that you would be talking to him in the executive closed session.
I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear you. What was that?
I said I thought you would be speaking with Mr. Olmsted in the executive closed session.
Okay.
Is that
Okay, just-
accurate?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
yes, Commissioner Fishman.
Yeah, has anyone given Commissioner Hall a call? She may have forgotten that we're on Tuesday. I almost did.
She-
And go ahead.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, this is Sarah. She actually declined the meeting, so I don't know if she had a schedule conflict or
Oh,
what, but
okay.
I can give her a call.
Please do.
Okay.
And let her know that we're doing executive session on this position.
I absolutely will. I'll do that right now.
Before you
Okay,
run
thank
off,
you.
she is talking to Miguel, trying to get logged in.
Oh, great.
Okay, are we in the private room?
No, I'm sending you right now.
Okay. Standing by.
I think someone is going to have to select join on the hearing room computer.
We're working on it.
Thank you, Isaac.
Good morning. This is Cynthia. This is Commissioner Hall. I'm joining the meeting.
Good morning.
Hi, Commissioner Hall. I'll put you into executive closed session.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Sorry, I had some connectivity problems this morning.
Are you headed out to Laney? What?
Mute yourself, Judy.
Okay, Commissioner Bird's calling everybody in, so just sit tight.
How many folks are in the room today? In the hearing room?
We have about 7.
Good. That's good.
Mostly staff or?
Mark Fenton and Mike D'Antonio are here from other utilities, and the rest are staff.
Okay.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Do I hear a motion to come out of closed session?
Mr. Chair, I'll move to come out of closed session.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Hall. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I will second.
Second, I just want to state for the record that the discussions were limited to personnel matters pursuant to 1015-1, Prin H, Prin 2. Russell, roll call vote.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Fishman,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
Commissioner Burr,
Aye.
and Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 5-0 to come out of executive closed session.
Thank you, Russell. Let's move on to the next agenda item. It's item 7. Potential action that includes a potential job offer to fill
Leave that
a
on.
new,
Sorry.
to fill a new accounting advisory position. The Public Regulation Commission has been pursuing the establishment of a team of advisors to the commission to assist us going forward. And our Chief of Staff, Wayne Probst, has been instrumental in creating the job descriptions for these 3 positions that would advise not just the commission, but hearing examiners and Office of General Counsel. This has been, I think, a deficiency that has been noted as far back as 2017 when this agency was evaluated. And so I'm really proud to announce that the 3 positions are, and these are exempt positions, meaning they serve at the will of the commission. It's an advisory staff economist position, an advisory staff engineer position, and today we are going to consider hiring a candidate, a top candidate for the advisory staff accountant job description or job. So we have 3 positions. They're open until filled. And we hope to fill the advisory staff accountant job today. And so members of the commission, we have a top candidate in Mr. John Olmsted. We have tentatively agreed to make Mr. Olmsted an offer at a salary of $105,000, and he would be starting on April 2nd with a reporting date of April 4th. And just for the purposes of the public, I want to just briefly describe, and I'm reading right out of the job description. I'm just going to give a general summary of the duties. This position, and again, the position is a regulatory accountant position. This position's general purpose is to provide high-level expert advisory support to the commissioners of the Public Regulation Commission, hearing examiners, the Office of General Counsel, and other advisory staff members by identifying and addressing accounting issues related to the regulation of electric, gas, water, and wastewater utilities and telecom carriers in accordance with principles of regulatory law. And so with that, members of the commission, do I hear a motion to offer Mr. John Olmsted a position as an accounting advisor at a starting salary of $105,000 with a reporting date of April 4th?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that
Mr.
motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Hall. Do I hear a second?
So,
Mr. Chairman?
second,
We have a second by Commissioner Fishman. Under discussion, Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's inappropriate to allow the commissioners to interview one individual for the regulatory accounting position. It is illegal for an employer to show a preference for or discourage someone from applying for a job. Secondly, job postings should not include special requests from only one individual. I believe this is handpicked and it's inappropriate, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vicente Aguilar. I guess in response to that, Ms. Kepler, will you just summarize the public advertisement period and the process that we employed to get us to this point?
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This position was advertised on the website. It was advertised at NARUC. It was also advertised in the New Mexican and the Albuquerque Journal. As resumes were submitted, or as resumes came in to Human Resources, they were submitted to the commissioners. Questions were asked of the commissioners if they had any questions for the potential applicants to be considered. That was the process of receiving these applicants for this position.
Thank you, Ms. Kepler. Can you tell us how many candidates applied for this position?
There were 3 applicants with one individual that was considered for interview that was the most qualified.
Okay, so this position, this individual was not handpicked, quite the opposite. And can you give us just a status while I have you on with respect to the other positions that we're trying to fill? Briefly.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, those other positions have been advertised as well in the same areas, as well as on Indeed. And as the applications come in, they are sent to Chief of Staff, they are sent to OGC and the commissioners, but we have not received any other applications at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Kepler. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor to bring Mr. John Olmsted on board as our new accounting advisor. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. Russell, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar,
No.
Commissioner Byrd,
No.
Commissioner Fishman,
Aye.
and Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 3-4, 2 against to hire Mr. Olmsted.
All right, is Mr. Olmsted still on?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Olmsted, welcome aboard. You've been hired as a part of the Public Regulation Commission, the first of what we hope will be 3 key advisor positions. And I just want to give the floor to you briefly if you want to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much for the offer. I do accept. I am looking forward to getting to grips with all of the challenges and the activities that are facing the commission, and I am quite excited about trying to make a positive difference to this visit to the commission and to individuals within the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olmsted, and I will plan to meet with you on your report date of April 4th.
Okay.
So thank you for your interest in coming to work for us, and we look forward to you being on the team.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Fishman.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Olmsted. I'm really looking forward to working with you and having you be part of the team. And I know that you'll make me a little smarter, and I'm looking forward to that.
Isn't that mission impossible?
Now, don't get snide on me, Mr. Chair. Just settle down.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I would like to also welcome Mr. Olmsted, and I also look forward to meeting with you and hopefully asking you lots of questions about what we need to know that we don't already know, which is quite a bit, I'm sure. So thanks very much for joining the team. And I think you'll find it a very gratifying place to work, actually.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Olmsted. And I guess just to conclude this discussion about the desire to really, boost the technical advisory assistance to the commission. I think this is a breakthrough for this agency, and I know that has been, an issue that's been lingering, and so I'm proud of this action today by this commission. We're taking concrete steps to really keep up with the ever-changing complexity of cases in this industry. And so I think this is a big step forward for this agency. And I think that we're making good on our offer to really leave this agency as the last of the elected commissioners, to leave it in a position much better than we found it. And so thank you, commissioners, for supporting this groundbreaking effort.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes, Vice Chair Hull.
Oh, I would just like to emphasize that more. You're absolutely right, and that's something I had meant to talk about. That this is never been done on the commission, as far as I know. Probably because utility regulation didn't used to be quite as complex as it is now, or maybe it's just that. Well, at least in New Mexico, maybe it wasn't as demanding a job, but I recall working at the commission before we had appointed elected commissioners, and there was no such thing as advisory staff, but it is sorely needed. And I'm so glad we're finally taking this step to be really kind of on par with most of the other commissions in the nation who have advisory staff. So this is a very welcome development, and I really do believe it'll be a tremendous asset for the commission that replaces us. Thanks so much. And for us as well.
Thanks, Vice Chair Holland. Maybe this is a new trend. Maybe the PRC will poach staff members from PNM instead of the other way around. Shall I invite Mark Fenton to testify to that?
Mark's hired.
No, we're not going to hire Mark, are we?
See, I want to make sure that you guys are missing out, having a lot of fun here with the group dynamics, having an audience in the hearing room. So
Hey,
anyway,
I thought we've been having fun.
what's just been you and I? Come on.
Mr. Turbin.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
Yes, clearly I disagree with three of my colleagues. I think the public stated it clearly that the commissioners should not put their make the selection for staff in hiring staff, because that was happening 10, 15 years ago. And from 2012, 2013, from there on, we allowed hiring committees from the staff members to give, to make the selection process. And for the public, I was not invited to see who the top individual was going to be. I just learned a few minutes ago that there was 3 people that applied. I was not included in that process. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair?
Vicente Aguilar. Yes, Commissioner Fishman.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear to the public that commissioners will not be involved in normal advocacy staff hiring. None of that's going to change. Committee hiring within the advisory staff which is the majority of the staff, will stay in place. And that's what's unique about these new positions is that they report directly to the commissioners, whereas all the other staff basically reports to the chief of staff. So that, and that's why these are at-will positions, because when commissioners change, a new commission may desire different direct expert advice. So I think there's a clear distinction, and that there's no sea change in what I think is a good process for advocacy staff hiring, and that's not changing. So, and I don't think there's any intent for commissioners in the future to be involved in the hiring of that advocacy staff and the vast majority of staff at the commission. Just these few advisory positions would be the only ones where the commissioners are involved. So I just wanted to make that clear.
And Mr.
Thank
Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair Hall.
I thought it was my understanding that information about all these candidates were emailed out to all the commissioners. Is that not right? For the advisory staff position, for accounting position and economist position that were advertised. And I'm not sure about the engineering position, but I know I received in my email the resumes from, I thought it was Renee Kepler, of the people who had applied. Was that information also emailed to Commissioner Vicente Aguilar?
Ms. Kepler, can you respond to that?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, yes, the applications were submitted to all commissioners.
Renee, when you sent the emails, did you ask us to respond, or did we have some instructions or anything?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hall. Yes, I did ask that commissioners respond if they had any questions and if they would like to meet with Mr. Olmsted.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. And Ms. Kepler and Wayne, let's redouble our efforts to ensure that maybe we can fill the advisory staff economist and advisory staff engineer to join Mr. Olmsted as part of the advisory team on the advisory side. So let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. It's item 8, consideration and approval of prior meeting minutes. Specifically, we'll be taking action on the minutes of the March 2nd, 2022 open meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Byrd and a second by Vice Chair Hall. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Russell, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar,
Aye.
Commissioner Byrd,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
and Commissioner Fishman.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the minutes are approved 5-0.
Thank you, Russell. Let's go ahead and move on to the consent action items. We have 2, one under transportation and one under utility matters. Before I have Russell read the cases and captions, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Hall. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Byrd. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Byrd.
if we approve this first order, are we going to get a free tour?
Commissioner Byrd is referring to the matter of the application of Albuquerque Beer Tours LLC for a certificate to provide tour and sightseeing service. I don't know.
We'd have to say no, because that sounds like a quid pro quo. So,
And it
but I have
assumes-
to ask.
It assumes, I guess, the riders can see right after drinking copious amounts of beer, but anyway. Any other discussion on the motion? Russell, roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read the captions?
Sorry about that. Please do.
Yes.
The first matter is docket number 22-00032-TR-M, in the matter of the application of ABQ or Albuquerque Beer Tours LLC for a certificate to provide tour and sightseeing service. That's for a potential order regarding the application for certificate. And docket number 21-00159-UT, in the matter of an inquiry into New Mexico electric utility resource adequacy planning and impacts of global supply chain disruptions. That's for a potential order. And I will take the roll call vote now. Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar,
Aye.
Commissioner Fishman,
Aye.
Commissioner Maestas, or Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
and Commissioner Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the consent action agenda items are approved 5-0.
Thank you, Russell. Let's go ahead and move on to regular action items. We don't have any under transportation matters, but we do under utility matters in the case of 21-00266-UT. In the matter of a rulemaking to repeal and replace Commission Rule 17.9.568 NMAC, interconnection standards for electric utilities and the associated interconnection manual. Hans, are you kicking this off, sir?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This matter comes before the Commission to terminate the prior rulemaking and issue an amended rulemaking proceeding to consider the adoption of proposed changes to Title 17, Chapter 9, Part 568. The proposed order that I have circulated terminates the prior rulemaking and proposes the amended language for adoption and issues the notice of proposed rulemaking for publication, setting deadlines for written comments by May 6th, response comments by May 20th, a public hearing on May 31st, and closure of the record by June 10th. A workshop will also be held on April 14th, which would introduce the new language added to the amended rulemaking that was previously not included. As you may recall, on April 15th, the Commission issued an order vacating the schedule, indicating its intent to withdraw the proposed order from December 1st, 2021, and issue an amended order and amended notice of proposed rulemaking, consolidating the proposed rule and the interconnection manual into a single cohesive document rather than two separate documents. Based upon the initial comment, that was done based upon the initial comments received to the prior rulemaking, showing that the preferred route of the parties was to consolidate the proposed rule with the manual and issue an amended notice of proposed rulemaking. With the workshop, I'd invite all the commissioners to listen in to the workshop on April 14th, which will basically review and introduce the new material to the interested parties and allows them sufficient time to review the new material prior to the comment deadline of May 6th. I would also note that the order and notice clearly delineate that any comments filed during the prior rulemaking must be resubmitted in order to be considered on the record, since the prior rulemaking is now being terminated. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
All right, any questions for Hans?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair Hall.
So Hans, that last statement you said just caught my attention. Maybe it's obvious to the parties Probably it is, but to resubmit their comments in the new rulemaking. Are we sending out a reminder or notification to the service list just to remind them of that?
Yes, I have kind of put that into boldface in both the order and the notice of public rulemaking.
Okay.
Want to be clear on that, and I'm sure we will also highlight that during the April 14th workshop. That is something I want to clearly delineate to the parties that in order for us, since we are terminating the rulemaking, we are not going to consider essentially old comments. Some of those comments may still have bearing in it, but if they want to be placed on the record for the new rulemaking, they must be resubmitted.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hans, I have a comment. I know with respect to rulemaking, ex parte communications has always been an issue, and there's been some confusion in terms of, when does it apply relative to when the record is open and when it closes. Can you just explain number 11 in the proposed order that draws that distinction on ex parte?
Give me. Are you referencing? Are you referencing that we are closing the record on June 10th? Is that what you're referencing, Chairman?
No, just the general distinction to clarify when ex parte applies in the rulemaking process. And I think it's explained in number 11 in the order, part 11, page 4.
Give me 1 second. Let me just pull that up so I know exactly what I'm on the same page with you. Okay. Yes, that is based upon the Commission Rule 1.2.3.7, which basically indicates the distinction to rulemaking proceedings between communications occurring before the record has been closed and communications occurring after the record has been closed. It defines only the latter as ex parte communications. So basically, this is why the Commission should set a date on which it will consider the record to be closed. And as such, we are going to close the record 10 days after the date of the public hearing, which would be June 10th. That essentially, the setting of that date will permit commissioners and Commission Counsel to conduct any follow-up discussions with parties who have submitted initial or response comments to the Commission's proposed rules or responses to any bench requests that the commissioners may pose. This does not, however, should be interpreted as extending the time during which parties may file comments or response comments, as those deadlines are set.
Okay, thank you, Hans. Any other discussion? Members of the Commission, you have a proposed order before you. Do I hear a motion to approve the order as presented?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the order.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Hall. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Was that you, Commissioner Fishman?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have a second by Commissioner Fishman. Any discussion on the motion to adopt the order as presented? All right, hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Russell Fisk.
Commissioner Byrd,
Aye.
Commissioner Fishman,
Aye.
Commissioner Vicente Aguilar,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
and Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the vote is 5-0 to adopt the proposed order.
Thank you, Russell. Let's move on to item 11, communications with Chief of Staff. Good morning, Wayne. It's great to see you in person.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to see you as well.
All right.
And good morning to the entire commission. Mr. Chairman, before I do have a couple of things I'd like to cover today. But before I get to those, we had an outreach from the Arizona Corporation Commission regarding an effort that's underway there regarding the San Juan Generating Station. And John Reynolds asked if he could just brief the commission on that outreach this morning as part of my report. And then I'll, again, just wrap up with a couple of items. So I'll turn this over to John, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, John Reynolds. Finally have a hot seat there.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning, John.
In the room and online. We received, Alicia Labor Tercero and I received a letter from the Utility Division of the Arizona Corporation Commission. And they have what they refer to as a generic docket about the impact of the closure of coal facilities on the local communities. And they have set up a policy task force with the first meeting starting on March 17th. And they've asked representatives from the utility division here at the PRC to join the task force in the discussions. So at this point, there are 2 meetings set up, and there may be further, but this is an unusual request for 2 commissions to collaborate in this. So I wanted to ask, essentially let you know about it, inform.
Okay, any questions for John on this request by our neighboring state, the Arizona Corporation Commission?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair Hall.
So I'm just curious, John, they're just trying to get a better grasp of what impacts are in association with coal plants in general, or more than one coal plant, or I mean, because I'm just, well, yeah, what are they looking at besides San Juan?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Hall, they're looking at the Arizona utilities that they regulate and their share of Four Corners and San Juan.
I see.
And Arizona Public Service, for example, is the major shareholder in Four Corners, and they have a case, as does Tucson Electric, about the value of their assets, including those plants. And so I think part of what's at issue here is they have a fairly blank slate, unlike I think what happened in New Mexico when the PRC was essentially presented with a very prescriptive ETA and a process for abandonment and recovery of the asset value. They have a much more blank slate. So they're looking at how to develop an approach to helping the impacted communities. That's the focus of the generic docket. I don't think the value of the asset is the focus, but we've heard a little bit about some of those discussions in a phone call with our counterparts from Arizona a couple of days ago. But so that's the general information as we are aware of. And so the policy task force consists of, besides governmental entities, including the federal government and multiple agencies in Arizona, and a large number of communities in the area that are expected to be impacted.
I see. And the 2 meetings you mentioned, are they like day-long meetings? I would assume, but I don't know.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Commissioner Hall, at this point, I don't know. I mean, they are on Thursday, the 17th, and again on the 23rd. They are hosted by the Utility Division of the Arizona Commission, and the duration of the meeting is, I have not been informed of that yet at this point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds interesting. I hope we could be helpful. Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hall. Any other questions for John regarding this request from the Arizona Corporation Commission? I guess I had a comment, John. You know, in the abandonment and securitization case of San Juan Generating Station, there's about $40 million set aside or it's included in the energy transition costs, and it's for workforce transition, tribal assistance, community assistance. But I was a candidate at the time, and I sat in on some of the public meetings, and the testimony from community members and mine workers was that it may not be enough. And even as a candidate, I always wondered, is 40 million really that arbitrary? I thought like maybe an organization like the Bureau of Business and Economic Research at UNM would maybe do an objective, impartial study of the impacts, attributed to the closure of the San Juan generating station. But I'm not aware of any such study done, and unaware of whether 40 million is enough. But I think on our side, in terms of real financial assistance to mitigate the impacts of the closure of that coal plant, there's not much more we can do, correct? So is Arizona actually gonna maybe focus on that and add to the assistance that's already earmarked from the abandonment and securitization case?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the funds that are that you're referring to, I believe these are the funds that form one element of the securitized amount, and around $40 million, as you say, and they're distributed among the three funds that have been created. My understanding is that what the Arizona Commission is looking at is something similar, but undetermined in terms of the monetary value. And so this would take place in the context of a proceeding that APS has maybe the subject of the Arizona Public Service or Tucson Electric Power. I believe those are the two utilities that commission regulates. And so those utilities would contribute those funds. Now, how they would recover those funds, whether it would be securitized like in New Mexico, I don't know the answer to those questions, but I think that's what the commission is facing and trying to determine what is an appropriate amount and how it should be funded. And specifically the PRC's input was requested to address funding issues in the policy task force.
Thank you, John. Any other questions for John? So there's two meetings on March 17th and the 23rd of this task force, and our utility division will participate. So is there any way you can maybe come back and report the results of those meetings?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I will plan to do that. At this point, I'm planning to participate in the meeting starting on the 17th, and then there may be an organizational element at the beginning, but and the report is due back to the commission, the Arizona Commission, on or before May 2nd. So that gives you kind of a timeline of the undertaking. But I will be happy to report back to the commission about those meetings.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, John. Any other questions for John Reynolds? I'm glad to see this. As many of you know, I visited Arizona Corporation Commission and did a scanning tour to see what good ideas I can rob or steal. But I'm pleased that they're collaborating with our agency on this. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and we certainly welcome their invitation.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Hall.
I just have to, I was reflecting and you sort of touched on it. It feels a bit unusual for us to be able to assist another state since we've been struggling so long with this energy transition work. But, to the extent we can be helpful to another state who's grappling with some of the same issues, it's gratifying. I'm glad we can be a good neighbor. So I'm glad John is able to participate in that.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hall.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Fishman.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it sure would be terrific if those other utilities which have far greater ownership shares can contribute to helping be sure that the community around San Juan can be fully supported in the transition away from coal power in their local economy. So I sure hope that happens.
Thank you, Commissioner Fishman. All right, Wayne, you're back on.
I'm back, Mr. Chairman, and I have to say, and it's you probably may feel the same, it's a little odd to be presenting in person. John and I are the guinea pigs today, so if the camera angles doesn't work and the microphone doesn't work perfectly, we'll try to get it straight.
Just let us know what your best side is. If it's not the right side, then
as many people will tell you,
haven't
Mr.
found
Chairman,
it.
I don't have one. It's ironic, though, Mr. Chairman, that I believe John and I are the first staff to present to you in person for quite some time. And it's ironic because it was almost 2 years ago to the day that I sat in a conference room with the senior staff of the Public Employees Retirement Association and informed them that we would be closing the office as a result of the pandemic, almost exactly 2 years ago today. It was actually Friday the 13th, 2020. I've had many remarkable experiences in my professional career, Mr. Chairman, but that's a day I'll never forget. That was an extraordinarily hard decision that was made in a very short time frame. I believe PARA was actually the first state agency to close its offices as a result of the pandemic. The following Monday, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced that the rest of state government would be closed. And as we all know, Mr. Chairman, the rest is history. So it is nice 2 years later to be back in person with you. I hope this is something that we can continue safely, of course. That is, of course, the most important thing, that we do this safely. But I certainly feel comfortable being here this morning, and I hope over time that others will feel comfortable being here in person as well. Certainly appreciate our two guests who showed up today, who are also the first two non-para staff members who have been to the building to participate in a commission meeting. So good to be here again, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick note, you mentioned it, of course, the recruitment of the additional technical advisors. I want to assure you, Mr. Chairman, we are doing everything that we can to one down, two to go. The other two are just as important as the first one. I want to extend my welcome to Mr. Olmsted as well. I think he's going to provide a great service to the commission and the entire agency. One of the things that I think Renee may not have mentioned is, as you know, Mr. Chairman, we have a LinkedIn account. She mentioned that we are advertising these positions on Indeed.com, but we're also doing it on LinkedIn. And one of the things that LinkedIn provides, and I don't understand how all of this works, but for a fee, and it's not a large fee, it's a small fee, we can boost those job postings. And as you know, Mr. Chairman, our budget is tight, but in the next week or so, we expect it to not be quite so tight. So we're going to use the opportunity to boost those other two positions as well, and hopefully get them out to a wider audience and get those filled. In addition to that, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, we are working very hard to fill other vacancies in the agency. It's important that we do so. We have received, I think we're now to received instructions today on processing the supplemental appropriation that we received in the last legislative session. So that is on track, and looking forward to receiving that funding and being able to put it to good use here at the commission. Now, with that, Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions you have or other matters that the commission would like to discuss.
Thank you, Wayne. Any questions for Wayne?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Vicente Aguilar.
The Chief of Staff, I believe you are the supervisor for Renee Kepler.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. I received an email from Renee Kepler with one resume on February the 23rd for the regulatory accounting position. And then my assistant called her and asked questions. And there was at least 8 questions. Renee called back and said, "Can you type out those questions?" So my assistant, she did that. And then her last response was, you need to speak to Commissioner Mayesta. And in the hiring process, we don't work that way. HR department is there to gather all the resumes and to inform all the commissioners. And the only resume that I received on February the 23rd and February the 25th is from John Olmsted. I didn't see the other two resumes. So there's going to be consequences from the other two applicants regarding how this process was played out. It's just a comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Wayne? Before I let you go, Wayne, I just want to personally thank you for everything you've done for this agency since you've arrived. I think we're making incredible inroads in our budget situation. We're finally getting the attention of legislators of the needs of our agency in implementing a lot of these legislative mandates. We're engaging with other agencies on other efforts. So I'm really thoroughly enjoying this evolution of this agency, and it's all for the better. But I think that from an administrative standpoint, creating those advisory positions, advocating for more budget, hiring long-standing vacant positions, I think is, I'm hearing good things. I ask people outside the agency, and they see us as an agency on the move. It's all relative, right? This agency has had a storied past, but that is in the rear view mirror. And I'm looking forward, as is, I think, everybody else that shares the vision for a greater agency. And I think it's just, it speaks to, I think, the professionalism of folks in this agency, and that, we want to do everything we can, whether it's catching up on a backlog of rulemakings or, filling key staff positions and advocating for, greater budget. I think it's professional and unselfish, and in the greater interests of, the stakeholders that we serve, to hand over the keys to the PRC, to the appointed commissioners, and be proud of what state we're leaving this agency in. So anyway, I just want to personally thank you. And I know that we still have a lot of work that needs to be done, but thank you for all your efforts and your team, or our team, rather.
Our team, that's
All
right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we can't do it without your leadership and the support of the commission either. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Anything else for Wayne? Anything else? All right. Thank you, Wayne. All right, let's move on to communications with General Counsel. Russell, are you General Counsel?
For today, I am, Mr. Chairman. We have no communications. We stand ready to answer any questions. So.
Okay, any questions for General Counsel? Commissioners, any questions? All right, let's move on to communications with commissioners. Any commissioners wish to make any comments? Oh, come on.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair Hall.
So I just wanted to say I'm really very pleased to get Mr. Olmsted on board, and I'm pleased that there's an opportunity to boost our advertisement on LinkedIn. And I'm glad that Wayne is being aggressive with trying to fill these positions. I really think it's a very good thing we need to pursue. And so I just wanted to reiterate the kind of things you were saying. I think we're moving in the right direction in terms of improving the staffing and the quality of performance of our agency. And I'm just really pleased. It's a good feeling.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hall.
Yeah, I have nothing to report otherwise right now.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners? I just want to provide a brief report on a meeting I attended yesterday with New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. As you know, we sent a letter alerting that agency of supply chain issues that are affecting vital equipment like transformers and meters and wiring. And I know I'm brushing this with a broad brush, but it seems that the rural electric co-ops are really bearing the brunt of these supply chain issues to the point where they fear that they may not be able to even provide new service, and that resumption of service in the event of an unscheduled interruption of service could be curtailed due to a lack of equipment. And what they're experiencing in their equipment woes specifically is a lot of suppliers are not giving them any time frame when they can expect their deliveries of equipment. So lead times are either very, very long or not determined. Costs are escalating. And so I think this agency felt an ethical obligation to share this information with an appropriate external entity, and Homeland Security is just that. And so anyway, we met yesterday, and we met with representatives of the Attorney General's office. Department of Homeland Security hosted us near the Emergency Management Center. The interim secretary basically presided over the meeting. The General Counsel, Chief General Counsel for the governor was there. Gideon Elliott was there with the Attorney General's office. The Director of Facilities Management with General Services was there. So it was a good mix of appropriate representatives. We do have some potential additional steps to take in our inquiry docket. One thing they asked is they wanted a more specific itemization of needs, especially by the co-ops. And so, I may be considering some additional questions in the open dockets to get maybe some more specific information about the equipment needs of the co-ops. So anyway, it was a very good meeting. We're going to meet again. There's already some discussion of conducting a simulated emergency response, kind of like a tabletop exercise, but it's going to be geared toward the co-ops. And so there's already some specific talk of simulating an emergency response that would probably entail an interruption of service. And so, and what I'll do is I'll write this out in greater detail for all of you commissioners. I was joined by Russell Fisk. Russell, I don't know if you have anything to add based on what I've said so far of the meeting yesterday.
Mr. Chairman, no, I would just reiterate, the focus really was on the co-ops and how little information we have about their preparedness, since we do regulate them, or that anyone has about their preparedness, apparently. So that's definitely going to be a focus, looking into the co-ops and what they're doing, what they may need.
And what I might add too is there's a couple of concurrent efforts that I think overlap with this entire issue of supply chain issues and the consequential impacts of them. New Mexico is in the midst of updating its energy assurance plan. And they've already completed kind of the stakeholder engagement process. Energy and Minerals has hired a consultant to oversee the update of the energy assurance plan. And I'm happy to share that. I think that I think it was shared with commissioners, but I'll make sure that you get a copy of at least the stakeholder input summary. Also, the state is is in the midst of modifying their statewide emergency response plan. You know, one of the common issues that was identified in the energy assurance plan update and the overall emergency response plan is that there's still a kind of a lack of roles and responsibilities. And so, which is, you know, pretty fundamental, especially in the context of a major emergency. So there's a lot of chatter, a lot of discussion going on, and I anticipate, you know, these meetings to continue, as all indications are that these supply chain issues are going to persist at least, you know, through the summer of 2023. So any questions for me on that meeting? But again, I will follow up with a more detailed report on the meeting.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Vice Chair Hall.
So one idea that came to my mind as you were talking, and it's something I've been intending to send another query out under our docket that relates to resource adequacy. And it's really not resource adequacy, and nor is it supply chain specifically, but it's very relevant to summer preparedness, summer readiness. And that is utilities, including co-ops, vegetation management plans. You know, these plans are topics of discussion, you know, long, detailed discussions by states in the West that have had really, really severe fires. But I worry that that's a type of event that's coming to our state sometime soon, possibly. And given the continuing drought and, you know, higher temperatures. So, you know, for purposes of emergency preparedness, I think that would be one area to examine. And I've been working on questions to send out to utilities in our docket, which, you know, would be some help. But what we need to see is how would the utilities, how can the utilities craft their plans, which may or may not be sufficient to help avert that kind of a disaster? And if it does happen, how would the firefighters and other emergency responders coordinate?
Yeah, good point. And in fact, I invite you to maybe look at the information that we've received so far in this open docket, and we can collectively decide, you know, what the next set of questions will be. But I do have some specific ones in mind that arose from the meeting yesterday.
Great, thanks.
Anything else, Vice Chair Hall? Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Any other communications with commissioners? Well, I just want to say how happy I am to see people in our audience here in the hearing room, and all you stakeholders out there that are, you know, going to cling to your Zooms, you know, put away your sweatpants, get your slacks on, and come on down. We'd love to see you. Anyway, any other comments? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye, you too.